What sets Thuli Madonsela apart from her predecessors, and what role does she expect women to play in government and in society? How is Thuli Madonsela contributing to the ideal of a democratic South Africa? And does she have faith in South Africa's leaders? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Naledi Molel, standing in for Mpho. Born in Soweto to Nomasonto and Bafana in 1962, Thuli Madonsela obtained a Bachelor of Law from the University of Swaziland in 1987 and later an LLB degree at Wits University in 1990. Madonsela has worked in several government departments and civil society. However, her colorful legal career was capped by her appointment as the country's first female public protector in 2009. As we celebrate South Africa's Women's Month, we also get to know the advocate a little bit more. So today, my guest is the public protector, Advocate Thuli Madonsela. Advocate, thank you so much for joining us on this afternoon.
It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me, Naledi.
I think anytime you mention the names Advocate Thuli Madonsela, the first thing that comes to mind is the word Nkandla. Is that something that you'd like to be remembered by?
Certainly not. I would like people to remember me in terms of what I have done around administrative justice for Gogo Dlaminis who have been wronged by the state.
What about, you mentioned what you'd like to be remembered for people that have been wronged by the state. What about cases such as the rape case that went on for 8 years, 48 delays in that rape case, yet this, a case itself that is unknown? Would that be a lesser headache for you?
Certainly, those are the kinds of cases I want to be remembered by. When we use the term Gogo Dlamini, we're really talking about the disadvantaged, downtrodden, who come to the public protector to ask her or him to redress administrative wrongs against them. The young lady who was raped and whose matter was postponed 48 times is one such person. Had there not been a public protector, she wouldn't have gotten full justice. She got some justice through the criminal justice system eventually, but she wouldn't have gotten redress for the secondary rape that she experienced from the criminal justice system.
Well, let's get to know the younger Thuli Madonsela. During the struggle, many had their own views of what kind of free South Africa it is that they wanted to see. What was your dreams for South Africa when you were young?
I wanted a just South Africa, and that's one of the things I included in my application for a scholarship, where the law does not look at who you are and what your color is, where the law treats everyone equally and protects everyone.
And do you feel that you're making a contribution to that ideal?
I certainly have been fortunate enough to make that contribution in drafting of the Constitution, playing a part in the South African Law Reform Commission, Department of Justice, reforming the criminal justice system and the broader justice system. And my role in the South African Women Lawyers Association, assisting women and others to vindicate their rights. And currently my role as a public protector also reinforces the justice system insofar as administrative wrongs are concerned.
And of course, we're celebrating Women's Month. What does this month mean to you?
It's a great month for women, a time firstly to celebrate that we've come a long way, and we owe that primarily to women from as far back as Charlotte Maxeke and Olive Schreiner, but secondarily to men as well, because women and men joined arms to fight against patriarchy, sexism, and racism, to the extent that racism further oppressed black women.
When you go back to your days as a young woman, thinking about where you had seen yourself in the future, did you think that you would be the woman that would single-handedly challenge the highest office in the country?
No, not at all. I have never even seen myself as challenging the highest office. My approach is the paradigm that says the highest office has power, and that power has not been given by me. It's been given by the people of South Africa. I have just been given power to assist the highest office and other offices in this country within government by pinpointing mistakes that have been made and appealing to them to correct those mistakes.
Mm. And in pursuing your studies, you spent a considerable amount of time in Swaziland. Given the current state of affairs in the country, do you see a role for someone such as yourself to play in Swaziland?
Not really. I have always seen that my role is to play my part here as the public protector. Of course, as a professional, I could always support my colleagues who are lawyers in any country, including Swaziland, and particularly Swaziland, because it did nurture me. I also have been invited at least twice to talk about the role of a public protector and how this office may strengthen governance and thereby contribute to stronger democracy.
Do you think that public perceptions of the role of the public protector have been vilified somewhat in the country?
Not in all quarters. Yesterday we were in Gauteng. We were embraced beyond our expectations by the Premier, the Speaker of the legislature, members of the legislature, and the Mayor of Joburg. Even in national government, we don't think we're being vilified. We just think there are cases where there's a misunderstanding. And during our stakeholder dialogue this year, we've made it our job to bring government to a dialogue to ensure that we can find each other.
Right. And you recently were invited to Zimbabwe, yet you did not make that trip. What is the reason behind that?
The real reason was that I was not available on that date because Parliament invited me to come and present my strategic plan on that very date. Eventually, Parliament changed its date, but it was too late to resuscitate the trip. And then there was also the issue at that stage then on rescheduling that we need to agree on the theme, because personally I had not been aware of what the theme was. But the organizers were gracious and they were happy to consider rescheduling and reconsideration of the topic.
No politics involved there?
No, the organizers were not really political.
All right. Well, we continue speaking to Advocate Thuli Madonsela. Question time takes a break. Please don't go anywhere.
I once saw a flower blossom through 27 prison bars of yesterday's unjust flames. I felt an old woman's anticipation for the country's first open elections. And I heard the loud celebrations of that flower's historic inauguration. I was there when Unity sang of how the Springbok never held anything back, and we saw a first-time band of 11 men, Shibobo possibility throughout the land. At the foot of Africa, time remembers how truth can reconcile a people. We carved our name into space, and on the world stage, our art stood united. When we blow that vuvuzela, the whole world goes into a trance. And even in that tearful hour of the flower's separation, we are a people who see the music and hear the flowers dance. SABC, sharing 20 years of inspiration.
Across the globe, the continent and the entire country, every second there's always a breaking story. SABC News is your reliable eye, ear and information system in bringing you events as they happen. Our cutting-edge and hard-hitting journalism leaves no stone unturned, giving you the whole picture every time. Join us every day on SABC3 and know what is happening around you. SABC News, Africa's news leader.
Zoom into Africa. This is Nigeria. The president is Mr. Goodluck Jonathan. Nigeria attained independence in 1960. The population is more than 166 million people. One of the major languages spoken is English. Monetary unit is Nigerian Naira.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. I'm Naledi Muleo and I'm in for Nkandla. My guest is the Public Protector Advocate Thuli Madonsela. Recently you spoke at a conference in Sandton and you emphasized the need for transparency and accountability and the rule of law to take precedence and that you said is essential for the fight against crime. Perhaps we're missing something: accountability, transparency. How does that bring us back to how we deal with crime in South Africa?
Well, the criminal justice system is about accountability for wrongdoing. If somebody is alleged to have committed a crime, they're brought into the system to explain themselves. And if the system finds that they're guilty of any crime, they are made to make amends. If they stole money, they must give it back. Or if money was paid to them fraudulently or corruptly, they are made to pay it back. If, of course, they need to go to jail, they are sent to jail. And sometimes they both go to jail and have to pay money.
Have you ever been pessimistic about the work that you do? What do you think have been some of your greatest letdowns?
I'm not pessimistic. I do feel, though, sometimes my work takes me to the heart of the beast when it comes to governance within the public sector. I've seen the best, but I've also been exposed to the worst. And the worst is the issue of impunity, where there's often actions that send a message that some are above the law and others are within the law. And the problem with that is that once you send a message that some can be above the law, people just find a way to make themselves above the law. And before you know what's happening, everyone is exploiting the system and the system could collapse. We're not there yet because in the majority of cases, we follow the rules and everyone who's alleged of being guilty of wrongdoing is made to account and the whole process is taken to its conclusion.
And, you highlight just how difficult of a job that is. And I think a lot of people understand that you're not in the easiest of positions. And so that brings me to my next question. Have there ever been elements of fear, steps that you thought, that is too sensitive to tackle?
Not really, but I must say that before we tackle each case, we do look at everything. Who has requested us to investigate? If they can take it through the normal court system, we wouldn't take it. But we're never really afraid. All that matters is, do we have jurisdiction? Or even if we have, can somebody else help? If we can help, do we have the powers to then take corrective action? And if we can, then we take that matter.
All right, and maybe just talk us through how being a woman affects your work as public protector. Does it affect your work at all?
Perhaps it does, in that women are brought up or socialized to concern themselves about fixing the problem, about correcting as opposed to punishment. When we deal with corruption, for example, or malfeasance, we're not obsessed with sending people to jail. We're more concerned about ensuring that the money is clawed back and the money is taken to the right causes. And I think also being a woman makes me have empathy for the Gogo Dlaminis, or those who are terribly victimized by the system. They could be a business person who hasn't been paid their money for the last 5 years, and it becomes an urgent matter for me and my team to unlock that so that the person's life may be restored.
Having worked with so many cases of injustice across the country, and also, you release a report such as the Nkandla report, it leaves a lot of South Africans feeling possibly a little bit pessimistic about where the country is headed. Are you optimistic about where we're headed, where our democracy is headed?
I'm extremely optimistic, and I would say to every South African, be optimistic. We've come this way. We've seen the worst, and we were able to go through that. And I think South Africans are a resilient and industrious nation. We have a brilliant constitution that entrenches the rule of law. It also builds a very good architecture around how government should work. It also tells government what values should inform government: accountability, responsiveness, integrity, among others. It also maps out the kind of society we want to become, which is a society that is inclusive, it's based on social justice, everyone's potential would be freed, and everyone's quality of life would be improved. So we have it all set out for us. All we need to do now is to ensure that all of those who are entrusted with public power are accountable. And that the way government operates is transparent, because where there's transparency, as I said yesterday, it's easier to detect wrongdoing and to correct it.
And just finally, do you have faith in South Africa's leadership?
Yes, I do. There are one or two people that would disappoint me at times, but generally in the leadership of South Africa broadly, I do have faith. And even those that have disappointed me at times, I just think fear may have made them make the decisions they have made, and wrong advice may have compounded the situation, and even they, with good advice, may be corrected.
Right. Well, I'm keen to hear who those leaders are that you feel have disappointed you, and perhaps we'll talk about that more after the break. Question time takes a break. Don't go anywhere.
Your World provides trusted world, continent and local stories. We deliver breaking news from across the globe and information on the latest top stories on business, technology, politics and sport. Analysis of the big global business and economic issues as they affect consumers and investors. Make sure you don't miss Your World, weekdays between 11 and 12 midnight. We keep the nation fully informed.
Across the globe, the continent and the entire country, every second there's always a breaking story. SABC News is your reliable eye, ear and information system in bringing you events as they happen. Our cutting-edge and hard-hitting journalism leaves no stone unturned, giving you the whole picture every time. Join us every day on SABC3 and know what is happening around you. SABC News, Africa's news leader.
Zoom into Africa. This is South Africa. The president is Mr. Jacob Zuma. South Africa became a republic in 1960 and attained democracy in 1994. The population is more than 50 million people. One of South Africa's major languages is English. Monetary unit, the rand.
You're still watching Question Time, still in conversation with Public Protector Advocate Thuli Madonsela. Before the break, you told us a little bit about how you have seen a few disappointments in South African leadership. Would it be ambitious for you to perhaps list who you think has been some of your greatest disappointments?
No, it wouldn't be ambitious. It would be unethical. All I can say is that the disappointments would be sometimes where people have treated fellow human beings with ghastly indifference, where decisions have been made or failed to be made with no regard for the consequences on the people who are affected. And here I'm talking about people who may be owed money by government and are in the process of losing their company and in the process of losing their home. Other people that have disappointed me are those who seem not to accept the Constitution. They would rather have a different Constitution. For example, the current Constitution says the public protector has the power, as regulated by legislation, to investigate any conduct in state affairs or the public administration that is suspected or alleged to be improper, to report on that conduct and to take appropriate remedial action. And then there are those that feel that they may respect the courts, which are created under Section 8 of the Constitution, but they don't think it's their duty to respect this office. Once I've taken appropriate remedial action, they think that they still need somebody else to second guess me other than a court of law. Mm-hmm. You see, that is not disrespecting me as a person or my office. That is really spitting in the face of the people of South Africa who have their faith in the Constitution and their faith in democracy, right, who come to this office assuming that it has power, as the Constitution tells them. And if people ignore that power, then trust between the state and the people is undermined.
All right. I just want to jump in because the president has responded to your report on Nkandla. Musi Maimani of the DA said that the president is dodging responsibility with his response. Do you agree? Are you happy with the response from the president?
I haven't seen a response to my report from the president. The document I saw yesterday does not respond to my comments, does not respond to my report. In fact, in his own words, the president says that this document does not purport to comment on the public protector's report. At some stage, he even says he is not indicating whether he agrees or disagrees with my report. So from where I'm sitting, the president is yet to comply with Section 3(5) of the Executive Members' Ethics Act.
And do you not feel undermined by that in any way?
It's not a personal thing. He is the president of the country. I just noticed that he actually was the person who signed the Executive Ethics Code as an acting president. So we both have an interest in ensuring that the Constitution is respected, the Executive Members Ethics Act is respected, and the rule of law thrives in our country.
And what now? What now for the public protector with regards to the Nkandla report? What happens next?
I'm waiting for a response from the presidency. I've asked my team to find out if there are 2 documents that the president has sent to Parliament, because the one we got from the internet is not a response or comment on my report. Once we've seen what document is there, if it's the same document, then I will be writing to the president on Monday to express my views.
Was the president supposed to write directly to you as well?
Not necessarily. The cabinet secretary traditionally sends me a notice indicating that the president has now responded to Parliament, and here is a copy of the president's response.
And that has not happened?
We haven't seen it in our system yet, and I don't want to say it didn't happen because it may be hiding in our system at the moment. But we are trying to just track the correspondence so that if I engage the president, I engage him on fact rather than suspicion.
All right, well, let's just move on for a little bit and continue with getting to know the Public Protector Advocate Thuli Madonsela. The truth is, you look at your office and you look at some of the work that has been done by your predecessors, definitely none that has shaken up the country as much as you have. Is that good PR?
It is partly true, and the lady. The truth is, they had to build the institution. Advocate Baqwa had to build it from scratch, and therefore you can't achieve a lot beyond building the bricks and mortar. And Advocate Mushwana had to consolidate. But a lot of the groundbreaking decisions we are now making started during the time of Advocate Mushwana. Of course, my team now stands on the shoulders of these 2 giants, and we're bound to see more clearer and much more further than they did.
That was Public Protector Advocate Thuli Madonsela, and that was also question time for today. A big thank you to our guest and, of course, to you for watching the show. We welcome your feedback via email on questiontime@sabc.co.za, or you can tweet us. Our Twitter handle is @questiontime24. From myself and the rest of the crew, have yourselves a wonderful time. Goodbye.
Is a beautiful city of contradictions.
Funerals in Ghana are colorful and flamboyant. Ghana coffins are functional coffins made by specialized carpenters. These colorful objects, which have developed out of figurative palanquins, are not only coffins but considered real works